I remember the night the blood-starved beast came for me. Not just it, no, but the bloody thing it dragged in behind it. A thought, yeah, but it weren't no thought we'd ever had. It bled through the walls like smoke, and that's when I heard the stars, screaming. That night, it changed everything. I had come to the city on the edge of a world, a place where the sun was a forgotten memory and the streets drowned in shadows thicker than grief. Stone crumbled beneath a sky the colour of bruises, and the air hung heavy with the scent of rot and ancient sorrow. I was a hunter, a blade in the dark, tasked with purging the city's curse, to strike down the creatures that lurked in its alleys, malformed, ravenous, remnants of sins too old to name. But that night, I found myself not the hunter, but the hunted. The night was a living thing, suffocating, slow. A chill crawled beneath my skin as whispers danced on the wind, voices too faint to understand yet oh so impossible to ignore. Shadows writhed and flickered in the corners of my vision, like phantoms caught between worlds. I moved cautiously, senses stretched thin, every step echoing through the hollow silence. The city felt like it was holding its breath, waiting for something to break the fragile stillness. I heard it before I saw it, a wet, ragged breathing, scraping claws against stone. The scent hit me then, iron and decay, the stench of starvation and madness. When I stepped into the dim light, I saw a creature twisted beyond reason, skin taut over sharp bones, eyes glowing with a fevered hunger that seemed to pierce my soul. It moved with unnatural grace, each step deliberate, as if stalking some prey far beyond the limits of my understanding. I gripped my blade tighter, knuckles white beneath worn leather gloves, but the beast's eyes held no fear. They burned with an ancient hunger, one that fed not on flesh alone, but on something far more insidious. A sickness, a plague. The moment our gazes locked, a whisper slid through my mind, a cold, crawling promise of despair. The air around me warped, shimmering faintly, as if reality itself recoiled from the creature's presence. I felt the ground beneath me tilt, as stars blinked into existence behind the city's blackened rooftops, impossible constellations twisting and writhing in the void. I lunged forward, steel singing through the air. The beast moved like a shadow, fast, fluid and merciless. Claws tore through my coat, skin and muscle, leaving a burning, ragged wound that throbbed with every heartbeat. Pain was nothing. What chilled me to the bone was the sensation of being unmade, the slow unravelling of my thoughts, memories slipping away like sand through trembling fingers. Between strikes, I caught glimpses, flashes of cosmic geometry seeping through the cracks of the world, a lattice of impossible angles and incomprehensible symbols glowing faintly between the veil of night. The beast was no mere predator, it was a herald, an emissary of something vast and unknowable. It whispered then, low and terrible, a language not meant for human tongues. Words that felt like razor blades across my mind, unravelling reason. I staggered back, clutching my head as visions flooded in, swirling cyclopean cities, endless abysses, and the cold, indifferent gaze of star-born gods. Madness reached for me, icy fingers crawling down my spine, and in that moment, I understood. The beast was the key, the messenger that tore through the thin fabric between worlds, carrying the curse of forbidden knowledge. I fled into the crumbling alleys, blood dripping from torn flesh. The city seemed to twist around me, streets elongating into infinite corridors, shadows deepening into impossible shapes. The beast's presence lingered, a stain on my mind that no blade could sever. In the days that followed, I found myself haunted by whispers and visions. Cryptic symbols carved themselves into my dreams, and the boundary between waking and sleep dissolved like mist. I was marked, not just by wounds, but by something far darker. A spark of the madman's knowledge, burning cold within my soul. I stopped sleeping. Sleep was no longer a refuge, but a descent, a spiral into caverns far beneath thought, where voices laughed without open mouths and eyes blinked open in the walls. When I closed my eyes, I stood in an ocean of ink, beneath a sky that cracked and bled light. Something pulsed beneath the waves, something older than stars, something that knew me. I tried to fight it, to reason, to pray, but faith is brittle when faced with eternity, and reason is the first casualty of true understanding. By the third day, I could no longer tell if I was awake. I walked the streets, blade at my side, but every step echoed too long. Each shadow lingered too near. Doors whispered when I passed, windows wept dark ichor. And the people, if they were people, stared too long with eyes that seemed borrowed. In a reflection, I saw not myself, but a shifting silhouette wrapped in tendrils of thought, a man-shaped echo filled with something not his own. That's when I found a book. It was waiting, in a sunken chapel, half swallowed by roots and time. The altar had been torn away, replaced by a single pedestal, and upon it lay a book, bound in pale, scaled leather, written in symbols that rearranged themselves every time I blinked. I shouldn't have opened it. Even as my fingers touched its cover, I heard the city weep, but I was already lost. Curiosity, or fate, or madness, it no longer mattered. Please, gods, grant us eyes. The pages were alive. They whispered as I turned them, screamed when I read aloud, and the moment I understood just a fragment, the world tilted sideways, and something behind the sky looked back at me. It saw me, through me, not like a god. Gods are petty. No, this was something far colder, indifferent, endless, curious. The stars above blinked in unison, the clouds rolled back, and I felt exposed, as if my soul were being dissected by an intelligent being that had never known death, fear, or time. And still the book whispered. It gave no answers, only doors, and behind each door, more questions, and more eyes. I returned to the surface, changed. The city no longer breathed. The beast was gone, but its shadow had rooted in me. People looked at me and stepped aside, not out of fear, but recognition, as if they smelled the void clinging to my skin, as if they, too, had heard the whisper and turned away. I no longer knew what I hunted, or if I hunted at all. Perhaps I had become something else. Not a man, not a beast, but a vessel, a mirror, a key. I have not spoken to another soul in weeks, not out of fear, but because I no longer trust what their words mean, what they say. Language is fragile once you've heard what lies beneath it. The world speaks in symbols now, in patterns scratched into walls, in the flicker of candle flames, in the fluttering of dead leaves caught on the wind. Everything is a message, everything is watching. My hands tremble as I write this, not from fear but from the sheer pressure of the silence, the kind that weighs down the soul. the kind that lives in the pause between heartbeats. They say knowledge is power. They lie. Knowledge is a wound, deep and unhealing. Once opened, it festers. It spreads through the mind like rot, through a foundation. You can't build anything on it, 'cause it only collapses. The things I've seen, they don't want worship. They don't want understanding. They want observation. They want you to see, to know, because once you know, you belong to them. Even if your body still walks the waking world, your soul is catalogued and filed away, neatly stored somewhere between starlight and sorrow. Some nights, I hear it again, the blood-starved thing, scraping, breathing, pacing outside the door that no longer has a lock. But I know it was never truly chasing me. It was leading me, ushering me to the threshold. It was a test, and I passed. Now I bear the mark, not a scar of flesh but of awareness. I've become a node, a flickering point of light in their network and eyes of echoes. You, who listen to this, perhaps you believe you're safe, tucked away in your little room, behind your glowing screen, surrounded by noise and life and illusion. But tell me, have you noticed the silence growing between the ticks of your clock? The flicker in your reflection that doesn't quite match your movements? The dreams that feel too heavy to wake from? I'm not telling you this to warn you. No, it's far too late for that. I'm telling you this because I'm not the only one whispering now. The knowledge spreads like blood in water, like rot through roots. And once it finds you, once it opens your eyes, there is no going back. They are watching. They are listening. And now, so are you. May the gods grant you eyes. If you made it through this story, keep watch for part 2, where Tarkin tells his tale. He saved me, you know, from one of them old beasts. Helped me find my way here, he did. I ain't no warrior, just a Weasley man. Can't fight well, you know. But I remember the sound it made.